Charlie Kirk was a racist, and I know you don't want to hear this. Charlie Kirk was very racist, and anybody that's black that supports him, you are a white supremacist yourself. Now, I'm not saying I agree with what happened to him.
The Bleach music is killing me, bro.
And that is definitely something that we do not want
the
to
fucking
happen
Bleach
to
music.
Because
Ichigo just caught a fucking like fade, man. Or someone just faded Ichigo, and Nell was like right there, man.
Black people, African Americans.
Nell's just a baby.
Him being critical of us, and him being
just a baby
is not the problem. So listen up. If you was to ever ask him, okay, you notice all these problems in the black community. What are you doing with your power, your influence, to help solve these problems? That's what you got to think about. It's one thing to be critical and be trying to help the problems you're talking about. It's another thing to just be trying to paint people in a dim light. So what we're not finna do is act like he's a good person just because he's not here no.
Okay. Now, aside from Stevie's face, that's clearly disappointed, right? I'm gonna already come in and say a little something here, right? I don't agree with Charlie Kirk on everything. I think I agree with Charlie Kirk. Okay, let me restate that actually, right? Because I feel like the previous videos, I don't feel like I did enough justice in explaining my stance. I think Charlie Kirk, there's a lot that I can somewhat meet him eye level on, if that makes sense. I think of myself, and I could be wrong, I probably do lean towards a certain side. Do I know what that side is? No. I've never really been a political person that deeply, at least, to truly know the answer. But what I will say is this. Charlie Kirk, after kind of, delving a bit deeper into myself and looking into Charlie Kirk and everything, I've realized I disagree with him more than I thought I did. And I was not like unaware of who Charlie Kirk was. I've watched a couple things from Charlie Kirk. I wasn't a fan per se, but I didn't dislike the guy either. And I still don't. I still don't dislike him. But I think it's a little more nuanced than I think I was. I think in the last video that I made, I was a little more positive to him. I'm going to be completely blunt with you guys. And if you guys don't like me being blunt on this channel, then it's probably not the channel for you. I'm going to keep it real and honest, and if you disagree with me, that's okay. Like, let me know in the comment section. I'm not going to shoot you for it. I'd appreciate it if you gave me back the same courtesy and not shoot me for my opinion. Charlie Kirk, I disagree with him a lot more than I thought I did. But to use the argument that...
So what we're not going to do is act like he's a good person just because he's not here no more.
We're not going to act like he's a good person just because he's not here no more. And you know what? I don't understand the right's extreme reaction to this part. And this is what I'm going to get at here. Is I think it's fair to say, like, I don't have to mourn Charlie Kirk is fair. If someone doesn't want to mourn Charlie Kirk, that's their right. They don't have to agree with Charlie Kirk just because he passed away. They don't have to agree that he's a good guy. Granted, okay, I saw Young Don stream. Y'all probably know who Young Don is. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But I checked out one of his videos. He's another controversial YouTuber. I'm not going to mention the whole drama. It's a whole different video. But, yeah, and he was like, oh, Charlie Kirk is choking on Donald Trump's cock. I'm like, maybe pause the brakes on the disrespect there, sir. But... yeah, I think it's bad to go disrespecting the dead person like that, especially considering the time that he's passed away. But then again, when is it a good time to make fun of him? I heard even South Park took down their Charlie Kirk episode, which I heavily disagree with that decision, but they did it. I think humor is humor. Fuck it. It's fucking humor, bro. But I think it was a smart business decision by South Park. For once, they made a smart business decision. But yeah, overall, I think, no one should be inclined to mourn Charlie Kirk. No one should be forced to do it. Nobody should be forced to agree with Charlie Kirk. I think if you want to come out on video and say you disagree, go ahead. In fact, I think it's even okay to call Charlie Kirk Charlie Kirk. I think it's okay to call Charlie Kirk a bad person if you want. What I disagree with is saying that man's choking on Trump's cock. Oh, he's getting fucked in the ass. Oh, he's hiding the Epstein files. He's a pedophile. Like I think that's toxic. I think that's pretty bad. Then I'm like, I also don't agree with the idea of calling him racist, but I don't know. That's more nuanced. So you do what you will with that, right? But my point is, calling someone racist at least is better than saying that they're choking on Donald Trump's cock per se. And I've heard those words. I'm not going to say from who, right? Because I'm not trying to make enemies on the platform, at least yet. But yeah. My point is, I think there should be a line, and the left has crossed it. But the right has also, came to assumptions preemptively, and the right has also had their fair share of issues, too. Let's not act like they haven't. So let's just press play on this video, right? There's so much involved in this topic, man. It's crazy. Stevie's intro, right? Yep. I need my water, bro. I need my hydration. Skip.
Civil Rights Act was a mistake.
More cops should be around your neighborhood. Why do blacks have a broken family? A white person were to come up and say, black America really needs to get its act together and stop sleeping around all the time and needs to actually have enough.
Why would you?
Because it's true. When blacks in America did not have the same rights they had today, they were less murderous. There was less break-ins. Black America is worse than it has been
that
in the last
affected
80 years. What percentage of young blacks have both a mom and a dad raising them? Of course we pander to blacks. They're in every TV commercial. And they're saying, I'm only here because of affirmative action. Yeah, we know. You do not have the brain processing power to otherwise be taken really seriously. If I'm dealing with somebody in customer service who's a moronic black woman, I wonder, is she there because of her excellence, or is she there because of affirmative action? Things got worse since this.
Let's already pause this. Again, to be fair, because I've seen, not all, but I've seen some of these clips, right? And not everything that Charlie Kirk has said was fully exactly racist in my opinion. But I'm not gonna. At bare minimum, right? If not the racist claim, and this is why I said my opinion and my stances have kind of changed. I disagree with Charlie Kirk more than I originally had even thought. He has said things that even if they aren't necessarily like how do I say it? You can't throw a racism card, like you can't just like Hisoka style just chuck that card right at him, with 100%. Certainty. However, some of these things, even when you add the context to them, it's like you're 90% sure that the claim, at least it sounds like it wasn't made in good faith. And I know the right is going to say, well, he's not obligated to say it in a way that makes you feel good. I'm not saying he needs to make people feel good. But what he's saying, even when you add the context to some of these clips, man, he really could have and should have, but could have easily, and still kept the same logicality, still kept the same level of validity. He could have chose far better words. I mean, a high school student could have done that. A conservative high school student. It's like he just didn't. Like, are you really surprised that he would piss the left off with some of these claims that he's saying here and with how he's saying them? It's not a surprise, man. Like, it's either it is what it is. It's either it is what it looks like, racism, or it's not racism. And he said it in a completely stupid way that just paints him horribly. I think anyone unbiased would look at these statements and go, "Oh, a moronic black woman." And I know he's a white person. I know a lot of people would say, "Oh, what? Because he said the word black, he can't say the word." And that's a fair point. A lot of white people are restricted from simply saying the word black. You know, I get it. I get it. But my point is, right? He really could have chose better words than what he did. I'm sorry. Like the optics are crazy objectively if you're truly unbiased. Could have chose better words than that, Charlie, man. You know, it's either yikes or whatever, but you get my point. Let's press play on this. Even with the context.
More violent.
Let's do it.
I see a black pilot, I'm going to be like, boy, I hope he's qualified.
Some clips are taken out of context, though.
Black pilot spiel. Did it on my previous video.
So when you see a black pilot, you wonder, boy, is that person there because they earned it or because they were placed there? That's what DEI does. It makes you ask questions you otherwise would not ask.
The airline industry is going to take an unqualified person just based off the...
I actually agree with DEI, you know, but I think DEI is good. I know that's a difference in my opinion with Charlie Kirk, but that's like a surface level disagreement. That's just straight up politics, you know, so that's neither here nor there. I also understand the point behind Charlie Kirk's disagreement on DEI. I think there's also validity to his disagreement as well. Let's just press play. I just thought that was worth mentioning.
Underqualified, not
I get his point.
Unqualified, underqualified, whatever, uncertified, and put them in a cockpit.
And that's the whole black pilot claim that people were throwing
Under
at Charlie
and un are two
Kirk. I
different
get it.
things.
I'm drinking a straw too.
Of course,
Yeah,
United Airlines will not take someone off the side of the street and put them into a pilot. But in order to reach a 40% goal, they might cut corners. They might accelerate the process in order to reach a goal. We know this through all sorts of DEI examinations and projects over the last 10 years. When you have to choose in life, either excellence or racial quotas will end up being the most important. And both cannot simultaneously...
Has nothing to do with race. It's solely due to DEI when employers select employees based on skin color and not merit. And that is the definition of DEI, meeting racial quotas, where a more qualified individual is skipped for a lower qualified individual.
This is a W
DEI
point that Stevie's raising up here.
Blind to not notice the rampant increase of DEI hires lately. Has nothing to do with being black, but I've already addressed this. On to the next, though. Kirk is against the Civil Rights Act.
That is a W point.
Do you support the Civil Rights Act? In spirit, but not how it's written.
Why?
It's too broad and paved its way for the persecution. For example, they're using the Civil Rights Act to put men in locker rooms like Riley was in.
How? Which article?
Article 4 or 5, I think. I actually don't know specifically. But the Civil Rights Act is being used for by the trans movement right now because they say that they are women, therefore they demand an accommodation of women's rights. Riley can riff on this. They're using the Civil Rights Act literally to have access into men female locker rooms.
So what would you change about the Civil Rights Act?
I wouldn't make it as broad. I would make it much more crisp and concrete, and I wouldn't have it necessarily. I would also get rid of the disparate impact component of the Civil Rights Act. So the biggest problem with the Civil Rights Act, there's 4 components of the beast of anti-racism. There's affirmative action, DEI, disparate impact, and then, of course, there's a 4th that I'll remember in a second, which is basically disparate impact is that it must be racism if 2 different groups have different outcomes, which, of course, is outrageous. Disparate impact is the legal theory that undergirds most of the enforcement of the Civil Rights Act.
Okay, so that last point that he raised up was a really good point. That was a W point at the end. But how he started it off was kind of like, oh, who gives a fuck? Like, the beginning of his speech was like flat ears. Like, and as I mentioned before, I don't know, like the whole idea of I disagree with the Civil Rights Act. That's my point. Like, did you disagree with the Civil Rights Act before trans people came along? I'm talking about the beginning of his rant, not the end, because how we ended it. The last point was on topic about, you know, like the Civil Rights Act saying like, okay, well, if a black person and a white person have 2 different outcomes, then it must be racism, right? That's a W point. But how he started it off about like trans people, you know, about trans people, quoting it because of them being women as well, right? You know, things like that. I think that like That's where it catches me, and I'm like, did you disagree with it before that? That's why I said nuance. And because the idea is disagreeing with the Civil Rights Act is obviously going to be viewed as controversial, and Charlie Kirk knows that. It's also possible that I feel like he's just playing the influencer game. Sometimes you got to make being the guy who's down the middle doesn't always help you out, unless you're super fucking intelligent, which I'm not. Unless you're super intelligent and you're able to really hammer down and prove the middle ground stance is right or whatever. No one gives a fuck about someone who isn't willing to die on a damn hill. No one even respects the middle ground guy. People respect someone who's willing to die on a damn hill. So that's why I'm saying, he had a good point there, but people were using it to say, oh, he disagrees with black people having rights. He gave a logical reason as to why he disagrees with the Civil Rights Act. But let's also not get it twisted. The Civil Rights Act is one of the main things that give black people their rights. It's one of the things that it's a big part of history. It's the amount of I don't know how to put this in words. But and it's fully justifiable and understandable. The Civil Rights Act means so much to black people. It's crazy. The history behind it. From a black person's perspective, for you to take away one of the only things that's giving them rights in America from their perspective, whether they're wrong or they're right for their perspective, the idea of you taking that away from them, obviously they're gonna get pissed the fuck off. I mean, even me, the idea of and to be fair, I think Charlie Kirk didn't say to take it away. He said to change it. But that kind of requires, and this is the nuance, it requires them to have enough faith and trust that someone's not going to fuck it up. For you to just take a pen and just it requires them to kind of, how do I say it? It's kind of like signing something in blood. You know what I mean? It's kind of like a lawyer giving you a contract and say, or not a lawyer, but someone of legal value, whatever, giving you a contract and saying, here, sign this. Or taking a loan out or whatever. You know what I'm saying? It's you're being held to a certain level of responsibility by someone you probably don't even know. You don't know if they're truly on your side or not. I can empathize a bit, with, let's say, a leftist black person when they don't want that either taken away from them, or they just or they don't trust someone else of opposing values to come and tamper with one of the things that give them rights and grounding in America to begin with. So that's why I'm saying it requires the left to put trust into the right. The problem is there's extremes on both the right and the left. You can't hold it against the left for being I don't really trust that. Because the far right does exist. And it's full of Nazis. It's full of racist. It's full of misogynist. And for you to deny that, you have to be either a lunatic or just disingenuous. And the far left has their crazies too. It has their version of crazies as well. People who want kids to transition. So both sides have their extremes, and it also has their logicals as well. Extremes, logical. But yeah. So nuance.
And the Civil Rights Act also blazed the trail for disparate impact as a legal theory. Basically saying that if black Americans are doing worse in a group, it might not be because of marital differences or cultural differences or single motherhood issues. It must be racism. And so because of that, the Civil Rights Act was too broadly written. So the intent, it should have been a single page or a 2-page bill to say that you cannot discriminate against based on the color of somebody's skin, period, end of story. Instead, we get a multiple 100-page bill with lots of chapters and lots of lesser-known amendments that created basically a permanent anti-racist bureaucracy within our federal government to go find racism where it doesn't exist and create it in new places where otherwise they don't exist.
Hey, Charlie. How are you? I'm good. How about you? So you're notoriously anti-Civil Rights Act.
Well, again, I explained that earlier. There's parts of it that were good.
Okay.
Okay.
I want to know
That's valid.
what your idea for like not only Black liberation, but like liberation for any type of minority that was protected through the Civil Rights Act. Like what your idea for that would be if it wasn't there.
Yeah, again, I said it earlier that the part of the Civil Rights Act that disallowed businesses from administering services based on race, that was a good part. The other parts that created this this ridiculously overreaching anti-racist bureaucracy was ridiculous, and now
Like,
is being
like what parts?
well, for example, the parts that give us the enforcement on the Voting Rights Act, which says that I'll give you an example. Merrick Garland recently said that states cannot have voter ID because it's a violation of the Civil Rights Act. So that's insane because the Civil Rights Act went as far to say not just disparate encounter, but disparate impact.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So
I get that.
So the impact goes too far for me. Now, for example, if you go to a Walgreens and someone says blacks shall not come in, that should obviously be illegal. But if it says that, hey, at Walgreens, black customers are stopped more for shoplifting than white customers, then they have come into stores, by the way, and big settlements have been paid because it's a violation of the Civil Rights Act, even though it turns out that the black shoplifters were like actually shoplifting more on average than white shoplifters. So disparate impact is very, very dangerous.
Okay.
And that's where the Civil Rights Act allowed us to go.
Just a little bit of research, man. Just a little bit of research, bro. It don't take much, bro.
W.
Y'all falling for the damn bullshit, hook, line, and sinker, man. I mean, people get triggered by him saying civil rights and just think it's black and white when he was talking about the flaws of how the Civil Rights Act was written. So maybe he should have worded it different, but it's not on him to word it. He said what he said.
No.
What he said was what
It is on him.
So just people take these headlines.
It is on him.
Run with it, right?
Let's pause.
Civil rights ain't just about...
You can't complain about people running with it if you said it. You can't complain about that, you know. So I disagree with Stevie there. I agree with Stevie, though, like, context matters. I still believe a lot of what he said was still yikes. But as I mentioned before, I don't think anything he said was... The problem is that what he said, he gave logical reasoning, and he gave, like, Charlie Kirk kind of gave nuanced conservative opinions. I don't know, it's weird. Charlie Kirk is conservative down to the bone. Don't get it twisted. I know people are saying, oh, he's middle ground. He's middle ground. He's not middle ground. The man is conservative down to the bone. But, I would argue Charlie Kirk is like, he's more nuanced far right. He is far right, but he's like nuanced far right. And then you have not nuanced far right, which is like Nick Fuentes, which is like neo-Nazi type shit. You know, it's crazy. So yeah, where Charlie Kirk is concerned, it is on him to say, because the whole point is he's debating. He's intentionally saying, yeah, I'm going to use words right now. You use words and let's talk about this and see who can clarify their point the best. That's the whole point. So it is on him to use words. 100% it's on him. That's why I said he worded, a lot of what he said was worded crazy. And, you know, I get what he was going for. But, and again, even I said the nuance with the Civil Rights Act thing. You have to understand why would I trust the opposing side of me? I mean, why would I trust, the opposing side to touch something that impacts me so greatly, or that has impacted my history and my people so greatly? You can't blame. Like, I'm not saying that like I'm not saying that Charlie Kirk was necessarily wrong, but I'm not saying he's right either. I'm just saying, regardless whether he's right or he's wrong about a point that he mentioned about the Civil Rights Act, you shouldn't, like, it's common sense that black people, and even logical black people would not want that shit touched. They would not want that shit touched by someone they don't have faith in. And I'm sure the far right, and even the right in general, even the logical part of the conservative camp, would not want the left touching, even the logical left, touching certain laws and things like that. Like, remember when the right got mad at the left for tearing down, like, statues of racist people? Yeah. And I'm not saying that the right was wrong for that. I believe it's a part of history. But granted, I don't think it should be glorified, but a part of history is a part of history. My point is, you got to equally apply these values. You just do. With Charlie Kirk's murderer, they found out, the moment that the conservatives found out he was white, everyone just, like, took a whole different energy. Forgiveness, you know. And it's not everybody. Because he was, at the end of the day, then you had the other end, who was like, oh, well, it's white on white crime, MAGA on MAGA violence, you know, and the nuance is lacking there too. I mean, clearly, yeah, he was white, but he was still far left. If he wasn't far left, he wouldn't have shot Charlie Kirk. That's one. Two, it's either a couple things. It's either he was crazy and had a mental disability, and he just went off the rails, which means he's not politically inclined, or he's not politically inclined and he's an assassin paid by someone else to do it, and he really knows what the fuck he's doing, or he's not the real killer, and the real killer is still on the loose, and the government either just threw it onto someone random, or they're paying someone off, and they're just gonna, like, subtly let him go loose, whatever. Or this person was on the far left, and yes, was raised by, as the news has clarified, which the news can lie, but it could be true too, or he was far left, which the news did not say. They're saying that he's not politically inclined. They're saying that they're trying to figure out which side he's on, but let's be real, it's fucking obvious. He was dating a trans boyfriend. That's left. That already shuts down the right versus left argument. He's left. Point blank, he's left. He is left. He is left. He's dating a trans boyfriend. That's like a double whammy right there. And I'm not insulting him, but I'm saying he's gay and he is okay with trans people and into them. And do me wrong, we have a couple closeted conservatives out here too who also love trans women and all this stuff. And there's nothing wrong with it. If you're into that, you're into that. But, like, we have a lot of closeted conservatives too, you know, running around. But my point that I'm getting at is, and you have closeted left people, like leftist black people who are, like, into, like, screwing white women, you know, snow bunnies, you know, who, like, specifically only go for girls like that, but yet they preach against the white man and stuff like that, you know, like, very hatefully. You get my point. So you have your hypocrisies going on. I'm not saying that you don't, but yeah, I'm still saying you could be into what you're into. I'm not one to kink shame at all. I love hentai. But my point that I'm trying to get at here, right, is he was obviously left, the one who shot Charlie Kirk, point blank. Why would he shoot Charlie Kirk? He even called him a horrible person to his father and racist and stuff. Like these are things that a leftist person would say, not just left, but far left, not even logical left. You know, but headlines. Yeah. So I forgot how that point tied in. I kind of rambled on, but let's just play the video.
Run with it, right? Civil rights ain't just about black and white. You know what I mean? It impacts much more than that. It impacts so much more than that.
It does.
The majority of people aren't even aware of it, bro. You bring up civil rights, the first thing you think, if he's against the Civil Rights Act,
it does. Like that is true, but that itself lacks. Okay, that's weird because that's nuance. That's basically lacking nuance. It's right. It does apply to everybody, but for the most part, it applies to black people. I'm not saying it doesn't. It doesn't unequally apply, to everybody. My point is, what I'm trying to get at is that the civil rights was made with black people in mind. It was made specifically with black people in mind in terms of its origin and things like that. The history behind it is so much to deal with black people. He's right, but you're also taking away the context by saying, oh, it's not black people, it's just everybody. Now you're also taking away context. It's black people. Yes, it is applied to everybody equally, but the point is, like other minorities equally, but my point is, the Civil Rights Act is still something that its origin was made specifically with black people in mind. The history behind it involves so much of black culture. It's crazy. It's revolutionary to black people in general. Yes, to everybody, but to black people especially. In terms of just history behind it, maybe not effect, but still, yeah. And yes, in practicality, it is applied to black people in effect too as well. But that's a whole different debatable point there itself that doesn't really matter because I don't care to get too deep into politics. But yeah,
he racist. He must want us to go back to Jim Crow. No, and then he doesn't like MLK. He doesn't like MLK, bro. First of all, he's allowed to not like whoever the hell he don't like, and this goes along of another similar video that I debunked.
That's true, but that is a yikes to dislike Martin Luther King.
He thinks black women are idiots when that never came out of his mouth.
That was taken out of context. That was taken out of context.
You can't criticize anything black. If you do, you're racist, bro. And he criticized MLK for whatever his reasons were for. That's his reasons for it. I don't mean he fucking racist. You know what I mean?
Was it? As I mentioned before, it doesn't mean he's 100% racist. But why do you disagree with Martin Luther King? Why? Why disagree with Martin Luther King? What is there to disagree with him on? I don't get it. Because he was an adulterer? Because things that he said could be taken out of context? Well, things that Charlie Kirk is saying could be taken out of context as well. So, again, you have to equally apply these values. You can't disagree with him because, maybe he should have had more nuance here. Maybe his method is outdated. Yeah, well, you too. Things that you're saying could be taken out of context. I don't know. Disagreeing with Martin Luther King is very yikes. That's probably more yikes than even the whole, the whole moronic black woman comment that he made and stuff. As I mentioned before, it doesn't mean he's 100% racist, without a shadow of a doubt. It doesn't mean that, they're oh, we know now. We got them, boys, but that is something. And when you put it all together, it's not just one or two, one, two or three things. It's when you take all these different things and you put them all together, you kind of get this, and that doesn't mean he was a horrible person. I know people don't want to hear that. But people love to hear that when you're racist, you are scum of the earth. You're a monster. You're a freak. People want to hear that, but it's not always the reality. There's a lot of people in society who are racist and do have a moral compass, as weird as it is to say that. They do have a moral compass, not all. There's some races who completely don't, who are just sociopaths or psychopaths or whatever, or maybe aren't that, but are just so ignorant, they just lack empathy for anyone who isn't their own skin color, on both the black and the white side. So yeah, like, people like that do exist by all means. But it is possible to be slightly racist. I mean, a lot of time when slavery was ending, a lot of people, it wasn't just black people who ended slavery. It was white people too. That white people were the ones who kind of ended slavery. As crazy as to say that, I know it's going to be extreme, that could be, what I'm saying could be taken out of context. White people ended slavery. Black people had a big part to do with it as well too. My point is, black people kind of like kept their head above water for the most part, and did help out, but ultimately the white man was in charge of the government, and black people were looked at as just lesser than human. So, and not just by America, like a lot of other places looked at it and were like, oh, yikes, that's kind of inhumane. But even a lot of other places weren't going to step in those affairs. So, yeah, like, it came down to white people at the end of the day. That's why I said it's nuanced. At the end of the day, they were a lot of racist people ended slavery. I'm not saying that, as a black man, you need to go thank the racist white man. I'm not saying that. Fuck the racist white man. Fuck him. Fuck the racist black man. Fuck the racist white man. Fuck them both. Fuck them. Don't kill them. If they go over to a little black 4-year-old and say, fuck you, you blah, 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 whatever, right? Punch him in the face, knock his teeth out. But my point is, maybe don't kill him, but knock his teeth out. I don't care. Yeah, fuck him. He says it to a grown man. As a grown man, you should have the patience to walk off. Kids are a different story. And I've seen racist people say crazy things to, like, kids. My point is, on both sides. But my point is, Charlie Kirk, he what he's saying could easily be taken out of context, man. And racist people are capable of decency. They ended slavery. The people who didn't like slavery were still racist. They were just far less racist. Doesn't mean you need to be buddy with them. I'm just saying people are not just black and white. No pun intended. People have shades to them.
If you knew a little more about MLK, there's things behind the scenes that they don't make available for everybody on face value. Everybody knows the mainstream narrative about MLK and what it represents. How dare you say anything negative about MLK? He can say whatever the fuck he wants. And he was supposed to be unveiling like a scapegoat, his
it's Martin Luther King
information.
What does he think about Malcolm X? If he don't like Martin Luther King, I'm afraid what he thinks about Malcolm X.
Got the opportunity to do that, man. But like, you dig a little deep, bro. Like MLK he was a reverend, but he wasn't faithful at all.
It's more important, the fact that Martin Luther King is the man that fought for freedom, or the fact that he was cheating on his wife?
Jesus, look at him, that strong black man. But you're cheating on your wife. You're not a good husband.
Years ago, people were like giving these women shit for this. Leader, they were like, I saw this.
Man. You're not great.
I know he was an adulterer. It doesn't fucking matter. He was a great man.
You're not a good dad because you don't respect me.
Oh, shut up. I know. I got it. I know this clip. I'm not trying to come off like I'm, trying to blindside you guys. But just summarize the clip, it was two black girls saying, he's not a great man because he cheated on his wife. Now he's not a great man, even though he had such a big key part in ending Jim Crow laws and all that other bullshit, not drinking from the same fountain and all that other shit, right? Oh, he's not a great man. He's not a great man. As if that takes away what the fuck he achieved. He was a fucking great man. Fucking great man, bro. And you get my point. Yeah. Fucking idiotic girls, man. But my point is, just because he was a fucking cheater, who gives a fuck? Who gives a fuck? That's what I'm saying. I don't know why you would, like, what does he think about Malcolm X, man? Charlie Kirk probably thought he deserved the bullet.
Junior make a diddy party.
That's not me disrespecting Charlie Kirk. I'm just saying.
It's a third world country and a first world country. The black community in these something like Haiti or worse. And it started out with Martin Luther King Jr., whose whole life was a diddy party. Orgies and
that's pretty funny.
And fighting and whipping up on women. The thing that bothers me more about all
that is pretty funny though.
The orgies are bad, but when you buy flesh and you say you're man of God, and that's very visceral. They say he plagiarized his PhD, which means he was a fake doctor. He walks around with these communists. Money from Moscow was bankrolling the civil rights movement. He was getting money from Moscow to put in his pocket. It had gotten so bad that the FBI designated King an enemy of the state. And it's only about 5 or 6 people that ever been had such designation in the United States of America. They said that with this designation, even if they heard that somebody was coming to assassinate him, they wouldn't warn him. And that was a courtesy they would give to mafia dogs. They would not give it to King.
Martin Luther King sold us down the creek because in other areas where black
the orgies is one thing.
Orgies are bad.
The orgies are one thing, but the whole like it comes off to me like he was implying that Martin Luther King was maybe withholding money or something like that. But it's saying that they wouldn't, that the FBI wasn't willing to step in if someone assassinated Martin Luther King. Yeah, well, no shit, Sherlock. They were racist. The fuck you expect? They threw crack in the communities. What makes you think they would step in just because he got assassinated? Jim Crow laws existed, dumbass. Ugh. This is what I mean. I'm not, bro. I swear to God, I'm not even trying to be a far left. I'm not trying to be left. I'm not trying to be right, because I truly believe the truth is down the middle. But like, they're acting like racism didn't exist. That's what I'm saying, bro. Yeah, they wouldn't have stepped in if he got assassinated. No shit, he would get... Black people were getting noosed left, right, back, front, and center for talking to a white person. Even if the white and black person were friends, they needed to keep the shit low key because like the black person could have been killed for that. And the police were turning a blind eye to it. This is like basic history. What is going on?
Because in other areas where black and white people did not have conflict, they coexisted together, and black people built their thing, and white people built their thing, and black and white people joined to do great things together in places that were not segregated. Martin Luther King sold us a lie of having the government be involved in desegregation. And forced desegregation caused envy and strife. And I think that hurt relationships between people more so than if people had a genuine response. Because not everybody in the Jim Crow South was sitting there with picket signs. It was a few places that were hotbeds for that type of a violent behavior, which is where Martin Luther King and others went, Birmingham and other places, so they can exploit the conflict. And this is the example that I often use, is that you have a main house and doghouse. The black people were in the doghouse, the white people were in the main house. Now, the black people had the entire backyard to work with. They had already built their house, put a little water system in there, make the yard look beautiful, put some plants over there. They were building and growing their own thing. And Martin Luther King-esque people, Marxist individuals, wanted the black people to abandon their guest house or doghouse to get into the main house, when what they should have done was build their own house on the property and land that they had available to them. And once the houses were competitive enough, then they could mutually have a beneficial relationship. But what happened is black people abandoned their house to get into the main house. But in the main house, they weren't welcome in the main house. It was not easy to get to the main house. It wasn't always acceptable. You didn't have your own stuff in the main house. You were using drawers and beds and towels from somebody else, and you abandoned your own stuff. And when the towels weren't what you wanted, and the rules of the house wasn't what was beneficial to you and your people, when the history and the stories told in that house wasn't what the stories you want to be told, that ain't mad.
Don't matter. It's okay, right? He never.
I need to like look at that clip later on. You know, with Tatum. Based upon Tatum being the one saying it, I don't have faith that it's going to be that accurate. But I admit, it was a lot for my tiny brain to process there. So I gotta go look at what Officer Tatum was saying there a little more slowly. You know, he might have been right. He might have had a W point. I don't know. I need to like slow it down to truly understand what he was talking about there. You know, but oh wait, I'm muted.
He never disrespected him. He never degraded him. He just said he doesn't support him. He said he's a bad person. That's his right to do. But like I said, you got a lot.
But then you can say that, but a better way to say it is I don't support. Actually, no, I don't support him itself. It's kind of crazy, but you could say maybe like I agree with what he accomplished. I don't know, but that's not counting because I don't know what Officer Tatum said at the end. What the other guy was talking about with Martin Luther King, that was just completely stupid. The whole assassination crap, stupid. Officer Tatum might have had a genuine point. I don't know. He went into a whole fucking lore, bro. I need to like slow down what he said. But from my perception, I still think Charlie Kirk could have clarified. He could have clarified reasons why. The statement alone doesn't do justice. I gotta know why he disagrees. So now we'll never know. You know, I would have to know why. You know, but yeah.
Allowed to say anything negative about anybody black, especially when you're a white person. That means you got. What's next?
More cops should be around your neighborhood.
More cops should be around your neighborhood. Come on, first
that's
of all,
valid.
Like,
that's valid.
The whole compilation, bro. Like if
a lot of black people won't like
you're just
that.
Showing your,
I know
like,
why though.
You're an idiot, bro. This shit's like.
But I get why Charlie Kirk would say that.
It's 13,000 likes, probably hella comments in here, just dragging him through the mud, bro. It's like, bro, could have been in response to anything. Like, I don't even need to find that particular video, bro. It's like, yeah, you need cops in your neighborhood. His neighborhood may be fucked up. You don't know who he talking to.
Yeah.
You don't know what the storyline was.
Okay, let's pause it. He said it condescendingly. He did say it, to be fair. It's not just what you say, it's also how you say it. That needs to be put into consideration. He did say it condescendingly, but the statement itself was not like so bad, like at all. What he said, and to be fair, there is some validity to that. If cops truly were like idealistic and everything, they probably would stop a lot of violence. It isn't always the case. I'm not trying to claim that cops are racist naturally or anything else like that. I'm not trying to claim that. I'm just saying cops to both black and white people do bad shit. They're humans at the end of the day, you know. Their shit stank too, man. So they do crazy shit. In an ideal world, yes, having more cops in your community would theoretically help you out. I get where Charlie Kirk is coming from. I mean, again, I may not... Actually, no. I agree, but you can't just boil it down to more cops. You have to... There needs to be training as well and things like that, you know, and more mental assessments and stuff like that. I think that would be more accurate, you know, but yes, I do think more cops would help, but with a pinch of salt there as well, you know. Yeah, let's press play.
You don't know what the situation
That's not
was,
a reason
bro.
to hate on Kirk, though.
Well, this idiots, bro. And that's the glaring thing about this, bro.
But it is how he said it. And like the tone and inflection and stuff.
Bro, because y'all ain't gonna last that long, bro. It's like, this is really showing who you are. When y'all just fall for the bullshit, bro. This rage bait angers you to the point to demonize a man to the extent of Hitler, bro. When that couldn't be the furthest from the truth. So
he was not Hitler bad.
Social media has everybody.
That's what I'm saying. He was not Hitler bad.
Manufactured videos,
definitely not. Like, not even close.
Narratives, taking these, bro. He said like 6 words, and they gonna put that in this compilation of videos with everything taken entirely out of context to give you a narrative, bro.
True.
So y'all telling on yourself in the process. Not only are you a goddamn demon, you know, not only are you morally fucked up, but y'all are idiots too. Y'all are fucking idiots. And then they're just taking, you and me gotta take no steps outside of it, bro. It's like, bro got taken out because of it, and y'all celebrated it, dog. Y'all
True.
celebrating. Y'all still celebrating it.
Right, it's already enough. I got the idea of the video, but yeah, man. I still will say this, and I'll say it proudly. Rest in peace to Charlie Kirk. I'm not gonna go out here and disrespect the man who just died, especially considering the context that he still was a father and things like that. I'm not gonna say, "Oh, take Trump's cock out your mouth," like some other people on YouTube have said that. I've heard them. And that's just deplorable behavior, in my opinion, to even go saying that about a dead man who just passed away, and, you know, with the idea of his wife and kids being around, things like that. But nonetheless, yeah, I just think that it's sad to see the right and the left fighting, because I also see a lot of left people taking accountability. It's weird. I see a lot of left people like crazies. I'm talking like far left, which is not the majority of leftists. It's not. But I see a lot of far lefties going, fuck Charlie Kirk. I'm so happy he died. Oh, yay, yay, throw a party. Yes, queen, yes, slay. You know, but at the same time, I also see a lot more left people or left leaners being like, yeah, I didn't agree with Charlie Kirk. Like, I'm not a snowflake, guys. For me, disagreeing with Charlie Kirk on a lot of things, but at the same time being like, yeah, it's wrong, he was killed. It's not, I'm not special for that. I'm fucking average, bro. Like, a lot of left-leaning people are saying that. A lot of left-leaning people are blatantly disagreeing with the act of killing him and denying his right to speak. I see a lot of the right still picking up their pitchforks to go stab somebody, but they don't know who the fuck to stab because it was a white guy who killed Charlie Kirk. And then at the same time, you know, I think Matt Walsh had a little bit of nuance to this. At least he didn't, you know, put down the pitchfork. And I'm not saying that you should pick up the pitchfork. I'm just saying there's a certain code, in my opinion, that I kind of respect. And it's like this. What I don't respect is that the right who picked up their pitchforks put it down when they saw it was a white guy. But at the same time, you have like the left who's like, oh, really? Because it's a white guy now. You put it down, which is true. And then the left then is like, oh, white on white violence. And then you have like, you know, the far right. And not on the far right. And then you have people like Matt Walsh, who I would consider more like the logical right, are like, yeah, like, this isn't just a matter of white on white, although he's not saying that. But, he's like, this is a leftist, whatever. And it's true. The people saying, oh, this is white on white violence, they're also running with the narrative that it's a conservative killing a conservative. But that's not true. It's still a leftist, regardless of his race. It's still a leftist. That does not mean the majority. I'm not going to get into like statistics because, you know, I'm an idiot. I don't know my statistics that deeply, so I'm not going to make a claim like I did in the last video, which is my fault, about right versus left and who commits more violence. I don't really know the answer to that question. Don't care to look it up. But my point is, you know, I do know that the far left does shout. They try to shout and drown out the far right. You know, but yeah, nonetheless, I do think that it's just sad to see the right and the left calling for civil war in these cases when I see a lot of the left being decent about this. I see a lot of the far left being completely crazy about this and disrespecting a dead man, talking about Trump's cock and stuff. And at the same time, I see the far right, you know, willing to burn everybody. We're willing to burn every leftist down, you know, just for like the minority for shouting their opinion. But it's like they're also lacking nuance, you know? But yeah. Anyway, that pretty much ends this video. One of the rare cases where I did kind of get a little political. I might come out with another one, to be honest. I know Abba and Preach released a video. I'm probably going to watch that one too. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed the video, make sure you guys leave a like. You know, subscribe. If you disagree, well then fuck you. I don't respect your opinion. I'm kidding. I'm trolling. Actually, why do I need to fucking tell you guys when I'm trolling? I'm not gonna fucking do that, man. Like I'm just gonna fucking do shit, man. I don't give a fuck. But anyway, it's probably the last time you'll ever see me say that I'm trolling. Probably, you know. Who really knows? Anyway, if you disagree, just tell me in the comment section why. I'd like to know. You know, I'm always open to changing my perspectives as long as it's logical, and I'm also open to disagreeing with me. Just know that too. But I'll try to be logical, you know, as I can about it, you know. But yeah, peace out, guys.